Hi everybody, I wanted to share a project update. Some of you know that I have been designing and building a computer processor, a CPU, as kind of a ground up project, starting with transistors, working up through logic gates, and eventually turning this into human scale hardware that is pretty interactive and shows off the inner workings of a CPU and gives a chance to show people how computers work. And in the process, I'm learning a lot about hardware design and filling in some gaps in my knowledge there. And at this point, about 3 years into the project, I have quite a bit of hardware built and tested already. They're the register boards that store information inside the CPU temporarily, the processing parts of the ALU, the arithmetic and logic unit, so the parts that make the computer able to add, subtract, do logic operations, do shifts and rotates. All that stuff is built and tested in hardware, and it works really well. What I've been doing lately is, in a software emulator that I wrote, I am designing the control unit for the processor, and this is kind of the most complicated piece in that it conducts all the other resources the processor uses and makes them work together to do actual computery stuff. It's what interprets the instructions and routes the signals where they need to go to make things happen. So it's a whole lot easier to do this in emulation and get it all right before committing it to hardware. But I think I have just got the last little bit of a problem ironed out. One of the things I did want to do with this design was to build in a feature for hardware interrupts. And that all that means is that some external device can tell the CPU that it needs attention, and it can cause the CPU to take a break from what it's doing, go handle whatever other device needs attention, and then return back to what it was doing. So this could be key presses, this could be things coming from a network or other device, but it's a whole lot easier to have that in hardware than to have to emulate that in software. So that was a major design goal, and as it turns out, it makes things a lot more complicated. There's a lot that can go wrong with the processor keeping track of its state between the interrupted code and the original code it was running. I had this working pretty well, but I was running into edge cases where sometimes it would work, sometimes it would lose track of where it was and go off and start executing random code, and none of that is what you want. So I've been doing a lot of debugging, and I think I finally tracked down the couple remaining problems, and right now it's working like a charm. So this emulator that's running right now is running a program that's basically a slideshow. It copies image data from the program into the simulated video memory, and that's what's drawing our rainbow picture up there right now. But the hardware interrupt support is what lets me, I can simulate an interrupt here, and the program will be interrupted and run a little routine that just advances to the next image in the slideshow. So if I simulate creating an interrupt, you'll see that as soon as I do that, it stops drawing the image it was drawing and starts over with the next image in the slideshow. So that's working fine. Basically, it handles the interrupt, clears it, and goes on with what it's doing. I can do a little bit of a torture test by creating an interrupt that it can't clear. So this time I'm going to make this interrupt, and you'll see that it has stopped, and it is basically stuck in a loop running this interrupt over and over and over, and this was enough to make it break with the old code that had those edge case bugs. But now if I manually remove that interrupt and clear it. Oops. We'll see it handles it fine. It picks up where it left off on whatever image it happened to be on. and keeps going from there. So if I do another regular interrupt, then we get back to the next image and so on. So yeah, I think everything is working really well, and I'm at the point where I am able to start building the actual hardware that's going to run the control unit and start filling in all the pieces to make this run completely outside of the emulator. It's going to be a big project, but I think it's going to be really interesting when it's done, and I can't wait to show it off. So thanks for watching, and we'll keep you updated as more things happen. But for now, hope everybody has a good holiday season, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.